And welcome to Diverse and Inclusive Leaders. This is the show where I speak with the most inspirational and thought-provoking leaders of today and unearth their unique stories of diversity and inclusion to help inspire, educate, and motivate others to make the world a better place. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Rajiv Malhotra, President across Europe, Middle East, and Africa for First Source. Rajiv is the global sponsor for the Women's Inspiration Network and has a wealth of experience, not only driving business growth strategies, but also working across blue chip client bases, from digital offerings through to target growth verticals, which is such a key aspect of the evolving skill sets that we are needing to see in today's modern world. Rajiv has over 2 decades of experience within the IT and BPO industry, and I'm thrilled to have him here today, sharing a little bit more about how he has come to be where he is today. Welcome, Rajiv.
Thank you so much, Laila. It's my honor and pleasure to be part of this podcast with you.
I know it's been a long time coming, and I've been very excited for a whole host of reasons. And I guess for those of our listeners who don't know you as well as I, give us a bit of a whistle-stop tour. What did the journey look like prior to moving into this role, before you tell us about some of the current work?
Sure. I mean, first of all, I'm a proud father and a proud husband. I've got two lovely daughters, born and brought up in London. And coming to here, the journey has been, I would say, really fascinating, because I remember, 2 decades ago, when I decided to move into London, born and brought up in Mumbai in India. That's where I did my education and my engineering, as well as my management background experience as well. And the journey has been fascinating, because I think when I started my career back in India, the intent was to be completely away from this industry, which is pretty much you need to be very social, you need to collaborate, you need to spend time in the market, you need to bond relationships and build relationship with people. I chose otherwise. And I did an engineering in the mechanical field with the intent to land in merchant navy, which was a classic opportunity to be away from the world, sail for about 6-7 months, earn respect, earn money, and then come back to shore and enjoy your life, right? And while I was on that path, I made a whistle stop of joining a contact center as I was waiting for my results. 3 months in the business, which is what right now I'm pretty much focused on, I was in love with the environment, and I was thinking, am I making the right decision of moving away from being away from people, building relationships, collaborating, and building culture? Is this the right thing for me to step out? Or do I really need to think through this, right? And I think those 3 months changed my perception in such a big way that I couldn't convince my parents. So I still had to go back to the training on the ship for about a year. And then 6 months in that journey, I said, I don't think so. This is for me. I'm missing what I started, when I was, coming out of the college. And I said, let me step back and take a pause in the training. And my parents were obviously upset. And then I left that training and came back to Mumbai, and then went back again into the BPO world, and really loved that, 6-7 months to about a year or so of that journey. And I think from there, it's been an ongoing journey, I would say, right? So spent a couple of years back in that same industry in India, and I think I was fortunate then to really move back to London, given an opportunity. and spent some time in the US as well, in Minneapolis for a period of time, which I did not enjoy with the country being the coldest. So I said, hey, it's a great opportunity to come back to London. And I had my own fears at that point in time. 2 decades ago, I was based in Reading and didn't enjoy being there. So I said, let's move to central London. And from there, I think it's been a very, very different journey to what I'm been doing now. Haven't moved around much in my career, so spent a lot of time in terms of building a business for a company called Syntel, which was a global technology and business process outsourcing company. Worked very closely with the chairman and founder based in the US, and helped them actually grow the business in the Europe market from scratch. Continued there for about, I would say, 16, 17 years, till they got acquired by a French company called Atos. Saw through the integration for about a year or so, and said, I was getting lost in terms of what I do the best, which is spending time with the customers, building relationships and really spending time on the ground and spending time with the people. And that was looking like more of, managing Excel sheets. And I said, this isn't for me. So took a step, out of my career from a long tenure and joined a company called Emphasis, which is a Blackstone private equity owned firm, to actually lead growth for them. Again, fascinating journey, 3 years, looked at various markets internationally, helped them build the business across different markets and growth segments. And then landed into this fantastic opportunity, which I think has, in my view, transformed my career, my thinking, at the same time doing a lot for the community as well as the organization, and building, I would say, a bridge of career and paths for people across the ecosystem on what we do with the customers, right? So I think I would say the best highlight of my career so far and the enjoyment is the current role with FirstSource, which is a leading customer experience organization, delivering customer experience across the globe, and at the same time bringing in technology, data, design thinking approach to deliver the end customer outcomes from a customer experience standpoint across the globe. So yeah, that's been the journey. Very delighted. Continue to spend, I would say, time where I can with my 2 lovely daughters, who've been the core strength and foundation of where I am. And I think obviously my wife, which I cherish, I think if it was not her, I don't think so this journey would have been possible. So credit to them to still be part of what I am. And I think my next phase of journey, which continues to be my bigger ambition and vision.
Rajiv, thank you so much. And, what an incredible story. I love your candor as to starting, some while ago back in Mumbai doing engineering, considering being in the Navy and ultimately realizing that this passion and this, need to please customers and have customer success has led you then all around the world, from the coldness of Minneapolis to lovely Reading to now London, which I think, as a global citizen of the world is something which is so key. And really, that with, clearly 3 strong women that you have at home, as well as strong women in the business, has clearly been something that has kind of shaped you along that journey. And I'm excited, I guess, to hear what is next, and the great things that you're going to be doing with the Women's Inspiration Network and the business as you continue to grow and transform the work that's being done.
Sure. No, I think this has been as I mentioned, a fascinating journey. And I think I remember when I came into this business about a couple of years back, the reason it excited me to work with an organization like FirstSource and kind of deliver and look at the growth objectives in the EMEA business, one of the most important elements for me was, a lot of companies in the UK today say we work for customers in Europe, And when we basically ask them, where are your people? And they say, everything is somewhere in the near shore, offshore, right? And you do not have a localized presence to kind of showcase that, value creation, which you're doing for your customers locally in the market, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason this opportunity got me excited is because I was coming in an organization which was very diverse, very strong culturally. The values have been the core, and that continues to still be very, very strong and intact. And fourth, a very localized operations and a great diverse set of leaders, as well as very proudly today I see, if I look at my leadership table, 70% of my leadership team are women execs, which I'm very, very proud of, right? And that's not just with FirstSource, but I've continued to cherish that across my, last, I would say, 2 experiences as well. So it's not something which just got started and I've been lucky in building this up here, but it's something which I've always been very positive and strong, and which is the reason I think people, some of the women execs who are part of my leadership team are very proud, and they've seen that journey working very closely with me in the past as well. So that was the reason I came in, and I think very proudly this has really kind of worked well. And about a year back, having driving this objective, I was asked whether can you be the sponsor for Women Inspiration Network, because obviously something we need to drive internally in the organization. And I said, I would love the opportunity to be the exec sponsor for WIN. And I think from that day till today, I think, it's I would say it's been a fantastic journey. I would say we've the intent of building the whole Women Inspiration Network was creating more opportunities for women, building innovation, building trust, at the same time ensuring that the voices are heard. And then program and initiative which actually we launched pretty much across the globe with a major success in the UK, the Ireland, as well as in India, and then Philippines now, right? So it's where I think we're seeing significant adoption, where people are getting attached to this network and starting to be more open, share ideas, and it's also giving us an opportunity to build the next phase of career for women as part of this network, right? So something which I've been very proud of, and obviously impossible without, Jo, who's my HR in the region. She's played a massive role in Europe to kind of drive that initiative along with me. Someone, Laila, whom you know very well as well. And then obviously my women execs in India as well, who played a big role in terms of, launching this initiative with me closely in that particular marketplace. So, very proud of where we've set for. We categorically named this initiative as WIN 2.0. We wanted to take the Women Inspiration Network into the next level, where we could then deliver and look at, doing a lot of podcasts, bringing women even up front, creating a technology as a channel to create more opportunities for women from the WIN 1.0, which we launched. So, I would say great journey, something I'm very proud of, and, hopefully continue to drive more and more adoption.
Mm-hmm. I love how you phrased that. Technology as a opportunity to be able to showcase female voices and experience, essentially. And what's lovely is the previous roles, the women that have worked with you, past and present, are clearly proud that they have a strong leader who is backing not only the work that they do, but also willing and wanting them to be able to share their voices and experiences, which ultimately is a huge driver, not just for, the innovation side of things, as you've already mentioned, technology and creation of opportunities, but equally to drive engagement. And engagement, as we know, is one of the key, most important things to drive more productivity. And so driving engagement for the women that you have, 70%, absolutely fantastic. Both externally and internally is, again, I'm biased, but it is a no-brainer, really, capability to be able to attract greater talent into the organization, but equally capability to drive internal engagement and provide even more customer success.
Yep.
Talk to me about how the women's network has grown, because I know a lot of work was done, as you say, in the UK and in India, UK and Ireland and such, but actually there is a global movement for employee resource groups and networks that's really starting to take hold, I think, now within FirstSource and I'm sure within its customers.
Yeah, and I think it's the way we've accelerated this entire agenda. I think I remember when we started this initiative, it took us a lot of time initially to address some of the key issues when we launched this initiatives. I still remember that there were few of when we did some town halls, there were questions around, are we moving more towards women? And I think the point was, it's not about just kind of being focused on that particular community, but I think the whole diversity and inclusion becomes a very, very important aspect. While we're solving one agenda, which is important, but for us, the whole D&I as an agenda continues to be very, very important, because we need to drive that mix in the work culture in order to deliver that economic growth, right? But I think I would say those were some of the head-on questions which we obviously got as part of the town halls and sessions we did initially, which was always good to address it head-on as you start some of this kind of initiative. But I would say the adoption has actually grown twofolds in the last, I would say couple of years. We've kind of been running this initiative. And I think it's the proud moment for me now is that we've been able to take this to our customers, both from a win standpoint as well as from a D&I agenda standpoint. And I think that's the most proud moment, because when we have our customers visiting us now in our centers in India or in the UK, we ensure that we drive and bring this topic in front of them. And the I would say the attention and the positive pull we see from them is phenomenal. And I think the journey has been so strong that in the last 1 or 2 years, we've seen some of our customers actually stepping in and doing podcasts for us and talking about the value we've been kind of creating as part of this initiative across the organization. I think nothing like a positive or an acknowledgement from your customers who've been with you for the last 2 decades, coming up and saying, we've seen this working, we are very proud of, and we want to be part of this initiative as well to help deliver success and growth in your organization, because something we're very proud of. So I think the journey from internal to external, I would say, has been a big acknowledgement for us to what we've kind of done so far.
Mm-hmm. Rajiv, that is, do you know what, there's so much in what you've just said there, and let me try and pull on a couple of those strands. So I'm glad that you mentioned that some of the early, not challenges would be the wrong word, but I think, when you're doing town halls and, starting to broach what can sometimes be uncomfortable subjects, actually having the empathy and the emotional intelligence, as you and many others within the firm do, to actually lean into those conversations and say, look, actually diversity, inclusion, belonging, equity, culture, intersectionality is all key to business success. We aren't placing one being women as more important than others. However, this is something which is holistic, and it's good for people to have those questions and those pushbacks, because actually it allows us to bring everyone into the fold, whether it be, great allies for women leaders like yourself, whether it be, those that have, other elements of diversity that are, parts of their, I suppose their being. Straight away when we started the podcast, you talked about where you are from, Indian, Mumbai, global citizen, father, husband, leader, exec sponsor, all these kind of things. In my case, I am, a woman and identify as one, of course. However, I'm also a mother, a wife. Social mobility is important, upward social mobility. All of these different eclectic things. We are not often just one or two or three things. We're a plethora of things. And so taking the time to lean into those understandably, challenging questions is a good thing. So it allows everyone to start to come on the journey ultimately. And I guess the other thing to mention there that I really like is the fact that you're folding customer success into the importance of diversity and engagement, getting customers involved in podcasts, getting customers involved in success stories. Like you, I am obsessive over customer success and satisfaction and really championing, not just their work, but also, the things that they're passionate for. Because, when you have people that are, they're passionate and engaged, not just with their heart, of course, you have to be with your head in business as well, but actually it fuels those moments that matter and those stories that you remember when you go off and see other customers, those connections across the world. It's a real powerful thing actually about kind of employee resource groups or business resource groups, is that there's this incredible split across the stakeholder groups, is C-suite, often CEOs, CMOs, CDOs, et cetera, but then also employee resource groups, whom much of the time are involved because of passion. And you think, well, if you distill that passion and engagement for something that people are doing without often even being paid, or as a side of the desk hustle and this kind of thing, you put that into productivity. I mean, my goodness, it's off the Richter scale. And my goodness, isn't it also fantastic to be part of something that you're passionate about, whether it's because of, culture or, let's say it's a, East Asian network or, female network. Number one, doesn't mean that you need to identify as that thing. You can learn, but also, it allows you to have, these channels of engagement into lots of other people, and like yourself in the business, who you wouldn't necessarily, if you were, let's say a grad or a, someone coming into the business, have that opportunity to, be heard, guessed by senior leaders. Anyway, clearly I'm waxing lyrical about all of this, but I just think it's very interesting how those pieces come together: intersectionality, power of customer success and innovation, how it comes together as well with the importance of employee resource groups and those multiple stakeholder groups which are involved. So let's talk a little bit more about customer engagement, because I'm conscious that I want to get into the lightning round and ask you a number of other questions about yourself, Rajiv. But customer success, when it comes to some of these global clients that you're working with, because I know that you're working with a lot of the blue chips, what are you seeing from what are you seeing from them in terms of what they're looking for from, brilliant, diverse suppliers, environmental, social governance, diversity, all of these things have been on the agenda for a long time. And obviously, we're seeing the future trends of the world starting to move through, everything from geopolitical craziness into, we hope, a far more stable place. But, what are you seeing that, customers are really wanting in, brilliant, long-standing supplier relationships like yours?
No, I think it's a it's a fantastic question, Laila, and I think this is one of our strongest value as well, which we cherish as an organization. And I think and it's called customer first. The entire organization, I think what we do, the 29,000 plus people globally we have as an organization, customer first is the most important obsession we we thrive and work every hour, every day to what everyone in the entire organization looks for, right? I think we've been fortunate, I would say, as an organization where some of our customers have been with us for the last 2 decades. I think that's a phenomenally long period of time to A, trust with you as an organization, but B, at the same time, be candid and be transparent, to trust us as not vendors, but as partners, and be very transparent and vocal to say what's broken, what needs to be fixed, and how do we kind of look at creating a win-win for both organizations, right? So I think from that standpoint, we've been very fortunate. But obviously, with what's happening from a geopolitical standpoint, the environmental thing, which you clearly spoke about, I think the whole empowerment, the whole accountability, the whole objective-driven, kind of a culture, I think it's where we are also very clearly seeing with our customers day in and day out to say, yes, I think we've been working with you guys for the last 2 decades, but now fundamentally to where the world is going, where the economy is going, where the markets are going, the whole ESG is very, very important, right? And I think I love the launch which you did as well on your book as well. It also takes to where, some of where our customers and the blue chip companies are going forward with. So I think kudos to you that you were, I would say, I think we spoke about this earlier when we met as well. I think this is a fantastic launch to what you've done way ahead. And something to give these blue chip companies a great asset and a tool through your book to say how important this is, from an overall next phase of where the market and the globe is going. So kudos to you on that. I think that continues to be a very important topic for us. And customers are clearly asking, how are you driving that within your organization, not just locally, but globally, right? So we're doing a lot from that standpoint. And there has been a lot of progress we've made in the last couple of years as well, right? But how do we now take it more by bringing tech on it and, taking the ESG through a tech landscape is where our journey is being focused on for the next couple of years. I think the second element is, I would say, fortunate enough, the whole activist agenda is very, very important for us as well. And I think we've been fortunate. We had a new CEO, about 9 months back. We've also got a chairman who's been very passionate about what we do as a business. So both these elements have been fundamentally very, very important and crucial for us in terms of where we've been able to push this agenda with our customers as well, who actually day in and day out ask us about how are you empowering your people, right? I know you're a great people asset company, but how are you empowering your people? Are you letting them make decisions? Are you giving them the power of tech to, deliver an end customer experience, which is much better for their end customers as well as for our employees, right? So I would say all these elements now, fortunately or unfortunately, we are in the world that it's finally coming to life, and which is very, very important in the next phase of what we do in the market, in the globe, as well as what you're trying to do, what we're trying to do with our customers continues to be very, very important. But I think it's been a journey for us. And if we have to continue the next 2 decades of the partnerships with our customers and continue to keep that obsession on, I think this is a very, very important aspect and topic for us to continue to drive this momentum with our existing customers and new customers as we build this relationship.
Well, thank you, Rajiv, first of all, for the kind plug for the book. Those that are listening, I promise I did not pay Rajiv to say that, but absolutely. And thank you for contributing to the CEO Activist book, which, as you say, and of course, I'll say this as being biased, but the future is absolutely suppliers, less the vendor word, but as you say, strategic suppliers and partnerships that are strategic, are future forward. They're looking at what the trends are globally. And that is, look, we all know now ESG is something that has been talked about for a long time, but actually, the social aspect of ESG, that is something that historically has been seen as, perhaps an intangible. And so if, this last kind of half an hour of conversation conversation talking about the power of engagement, customer success, how clients are really looking now. Blue chip companies, FTSE Fortune 500 listed businesses not only need to show that they are following leading practices, but ultimately they want to have relationships with organizations that aren't just saying they're doing the right things, but actually they can attest to they have employee resource groups, exec sponsors, they have 70% women, and and so not only have we got the numbers to back it, but actually what was previously seen as intangible, changes, legislation, proof of the pudding being in the eating, because you can quite quickly look below the covers and see, what companies are actually doing, i.e. not just paying lip service to this. And so, I think that is, really valuable points to touch on there, and clearly could see I could wax lyrical about this all day. And so being conscious of time, Rajiv, because I love always speaking with you, I'd love to get into the lightning round, if I may, and start to ask another couple of questions. So we talked about all things, social, diversity, etc. But, what does, I guess, diversity, inclusion, belonging, these things, what does that mean to you? Because I get that it means different things to different people, and people are often at different phases, as are companies in that journey.
Yeah, I think, I did mention about this. For me personally, diversity is the mix and inclusion, and is getting the mix to work together. I think that's the most important, I would say, the way I look at D&I.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So what you're saying here is diversity is the, is the fact, and inclusion is, I'm sure this must be a quote from somewhere, but inclusion is the act, and basically
Yes.
bringing all of those things together to drive better outcomes. Love that. And also I wonder, I'm going to ask the hardest question first here, and I'm going to give you about a minute, maybe 30 seconds to a minute to answer each question. What would you say has been your secret to success? Or is there one?
Yeah, I think my secret to success, and I've been fortunate, I would say, is working with the best leaders, who've been my ex-bosses for the last, whatever 2 decades I've worked with. And at the same time, I think 3 things which have been very, very important for me, which is where I feel the reason I'm here. I think I realized the hard way, and I would say the easy way as well, that you have to build emotionally. That emotional connect is very, very important. Having that emotional intelligence as well is very important as you embrace, connect with people, and build the next set of leadership, structure under you. I think empowering and trusting the teams is the most other important element as well. I think being away from that whole micromanagement culture, it doesn't work these days. I mean, I'm a strong believer where I tell my team, operate anywhere in the world, doesn't matter. But I think when we speak every fortnight, we talk about what's happening across, in each of our worlds, right? So I think empowering has been the second core element. And third is, I think, being very objective driven, tying up people to very clear objectives from day one so that they know what they should be focused on is I think, it's been, I would say these 3 things have been fundamentally the important element of secrets to my success.
Mm-hmm. That's a super summary, in particularly the objective-driven emotional intelligence, which is in this fast-paced world, it's one of those only things, isn't it, that cannot be emulated, through AI or these other fabulous kind of technologies. Is the piece around human empathy and really understanding. And how about you've mentioned a number of inspirational people, a number, your wife, your daughters, previous leaders, but is there anyone specifically that's kind of really changed your life or your career?
No, I think no one I think who's been that strong instrumental, but I still continue to be fond of I think one Hollywood actor, which I actually make sure that every morning I hear something or the other of what he tries and does, and that's Wayne Johnson, right? I mean, he's been a very, very strong, I would say, motivator, inspirational to the way he's kind of shaped up his entire career and what he kind of does today, right? So he's something I admire, and I would say he has a big influence on what I try and get up every day and do. I like his quote as well. Success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency, and hard work gains success. So I think it's all about that. I think that's the whole reason I'm being here, and I think whatever he kind of does has a big influence of where I'm trying to aspire and get to as well. So I would say if I pick up one human being, it's him.
I'm sure there's lots of people listening in being like, oh my goodness, I'm a Dwayne Johnson fan as well. I have to say, I always think of The Rock back from the WWF days. What I think he is superb as well. Yeah. Are you a WWF fan yourself?
I'm not. So except for that, and I think what he is as Rock, and I think what he aspires to, and some of the stuff which he's done for himself as well, I think is phenomenal. So barring the WWF fan, I've still continued to be a huge fan of his.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Absolutely love that. Love that. I was a big WWF fan when I was younger, so I kind of always makes me chuckle. But yeah, he's absolutely a polymath, has gone on to do many great things indeed. And finally, if I could ask, if you would go back in time, let's say, hypothetically, and give your younger self any advice, back in Mumbai, perhaps kind of thinking about, being in the Navy and such. But is there any advice that you would give your younger self, if you could now, or someone who is, at the start of their career thinking, hey, do you know what? I've listened to this podcast and I'd love to be, where Rajiv is one day.
Yeah, I think few things. One, there was always a fear initially that should we really dream big, right? And I think I would say that everyone should aspire to think and dream big. I mean, create some of your visions and what you want to do, be it anywhere in your career, in your life and everything. Think like the impossible, because then I think you work towards that every day to get closer, right? So I think I would say if I were at one point in time, go back, I would say dream big, which came to me at least after 5 years of getting into the corporate life. And I think from that day, I would say that's been my biggest focus. And I think I continue to every day think something impossible. I still know in my office, I continue to have a chart which says, right from I'm a big fan of cars, and I've created a chart to say what was my first car to what I really want to drive in the next 2-3 years, right? So, and I'm ticking that boxes every few years as I get to that. So I think thinking big across whatever you do is I think the most important element. Second, I would say is do not get afraid to take risks. I think fail fast is the most important element, rather than getting worried about, if I do this will go wrong, this will not go right. Until you fail, you will not learn. So I think the most important element is fail fast. It continues to give you a significant amount of learnings in your overall life. And I think the third thing, which I feel has continued to stay along with me right from Mumbai, coming out of college as well, is embracing speed and doing everything at speed. There is no other way to get things done if you do not move at speed. I think that is something I think we should always kind of be focused and aspire of, and not say that I can get this done tomorrow when actually you can get this done now. Your ability to make decisions as well, and again links up to failing fast, is very, very important. So embracing speed, continuing to drive and take decisions at speed, is something which I think is the only one value I don't think so has changed since the time I left Mumbai, when I've been running across different cities and different corporate jobs and being across the globe.
Rajiv, thank you so much. I adore that answer, and it's kind of really encapsulated for me everything that this podcast has been about. I'm going to do my best now to do a quick summary for those that are listening, and it's brilliant because we've covered so many different subject areas. Is the importance of not only dreaming big, but making sure that you consistently put those mechanisms in place to actually drive change. There's one thing, having the vision, the mission, in business and or in personal lives as well, but actually having, the consistency and the desire and, the way you kind of, almost vision board with the cars, I think is brilliant. I have exactly the same, not with cars, but, where do I want to be and how? These things are often the cornerstone to success. And, I think the other thing that really came across from this podcast for me is, the sheer kind of the tenacity, the belief, and the capability, not just to do great business, but also to do great things that fuel the soul as well. Going back right to the beginning of our conversation, you can see how the strong women in your life have been big drivers for what you do. And so, there is this element of how the personal, the business intertwine and become one, because driving and supporting future generations of leaders through better business practices, through all of the education, the the spotlighting, the championing can actually create not only role models for future generations, but also a more stable economic environment that allows great people and great talent to thrive. And so hearing that personal story and that journey, I think, is really very, very inspiring. And I know that many people will enjoy and get just as much as I have from having the conversation with you today. So thank you, Rajiv. And I hope that has summarized just some of the things from this conversation.
No, thank you, Laila. I think it's been a pleasure. I think great summary. You know it better. I've always enjoyed this conversation. I think the last 1 year of our partnership has been phenomenal. I'm pretty sure we will take this to the next level of journey. But as I wrap up and closing comments, congratulations of the book launch. You've continued to do something to even inspire people like me. So I'm very proud of that, and congratulations once again. I'm sure, I think it will go across the globe, and you'll do wonders on what you've done. I'm sure this is just a beginning for you. So congratulations once again.
Thank you. Oh, I can make me cry. So lovely, really, really lovely. But it is, honestly, it's because of people like you who are willing to support people like me and organizations like us that we can continue to do these things. You are an inspiration, Rajiv. My name is Layla Mackenzie Dallas, founder and CEO of Dial Global, and author, as Rajiv has kindly said, of the CEO Activist, putting the S in ESG. Please do take a read. Lovely Rajiv did contribute as well, so keep an eye out for that quote in there too. You've been listening to Rajiv Malhotra from First Source. If you'd like to check out bios, don't worry, we'll put them all into the show notes at the end of today's show. This is the Diversity Inclusive Leaders podcast. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, any of your favorite podcast apps. And if you have been affected by any of the conversations at all today, make sure you do reach out. Don't be a stranger. I know it's a lot happening in the world at the moment, so do make sure you reach out to the team or I if needed, and follow the great work that Rajiv and First Source are doing. Find us at www.dialglobal.org/podcast, and looking forward to seeing you again very soon.